Modern immigration to the United States is a phenomenon that is skewing towards the reality that more women than men are arriving every year. In 2011, for every 100 female immigrants, there were 96 males, and women comprised a total of 51.1% of all foreign-born immigrants residing in America. For many of these women, the choice they made to come to America often results in a better life for their families, but only 13% end up working in professional careers, as opposed to the 32% of them who may have found similar employment in their home countries. Immigrant women comprised upwards of 46% of those employed in domestic work, 35% of which who are also undocumented. And owing to this precarious legal status, they are often the targets for both workplace abuse as well as abuse in the home by partners who prey on their vulnerability. The overall vulnerability of women immigrants can also be witnessed in a bureaucracy that tends to only see men as the head of a household, and they and their children as dependents, which biases a preferential status towards processing the immigration application of men over that of women, a trend that is often also seen in processing work visas for women employed in science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, resulting in even further marginalization of women in these fields. Patricia Valoy is a STEM activist, civil engineer, and feminist blogger who notes that feminism is about addressing beliefs, policies, and laws that disproportionately affect women and their families. And clearly, immigration can thus be seen as a feminist issue and one that affects women at all levels of society, from those employed for low pay in the agriculture and domestic sectors to those working in cutting edge of STEM fields. But employment is only one fraction of this story. The path to legal presence in America usually takes one of four possible patterns: employment-based visas, family reunification, the asylum process, and what is known as a VAWA visa, Violence Against Women Act. And women are uniquely marginalized by each of these, including the VAWA visa. I briefly spoke of employment-based visas, but these are generally reserved for people who have skills in high-demand work sectors, and women, working as domestics, rarely have the skills necessary to qualify for one because men are generally the beneficiaries of college-level training in their home countries. Family reunification, the second path, is also highly gendered in its realization because women are usually seen as dependents, regardless of their professional status outside of the home, and men as the breadwinners, making the path to citizenship through family reunification much more linear for men through this process. Women seeking legal status through political asylum must establish for American authorities a genuine threat back home in their country of origin, but activities such as sheltering guerrillas in a rebel force don't carry the same weight as a man's activities in that guerrilla force, and yet again, women get pushed to the side. Finally, the VAWA process also marginalizes women because to establish evidence of violence in their home, they have to prove residency in that home. But with men being the primary breadwinner, supporting documentation like bills in their name with an address that matches that of their abuser are often in short supply when showing up on our borders. Each of these four paths have their own unique roadblocks and hurdles that must be overcome to establish legal residency in this nation. But with each of these avenues, women are too often marginalized by the powers that be, which helps to explain the presence of over 5 million undocumented women in this country. For those of us who are spiritually minded, we must also look at this crisis as one that speaks to the very soul of who we are as a people and as a nation, and be reminded of Jesus' words as recorded in the book of Mark, where he reflects on the true value of the 2 small copper coins a poor woman contributed to the temple. He tells his disciples that this woman actually put in more than all the rest of the contributors, because while others may have donated a portion of their surplus, the woman, in her poverty, donated all she owned, perhaps all she had to live on. May we honor the everyday heroic sacrifices these millions of women make to contribute their labor, their love, and their lives to this nation of immigrants, and may we work to create a path to citizenship for them and stop devouring their houses in an effort to build our own. Thank you. And so it is.